Good morning, Joss. How you doing? You well, sir?
I'm amazing, thank you. I'm really well.
Good. Good to speak to you. I speak to you. You're the owner of JossyCare. You're a child care specialist, or as you know said to me when you introduced yourself recently, you're a male nanny, a manny. Not just any male nanny, however, an award-winning one. So, how do you find yourself in this space? And elaborate a little bit on exactly what you do.
I love the introduction, by the way. Thank you. And how I got here, it's not a coincidence that I'm here. I'm a very big believer on, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm a very big believer on energies, the spirituality, and that you plant a seed and it grows. And the way you nurture that seed is how that seed will grow. And that's what happened with me, where I was planted planted by my mum and my dad. I'm 34 now, planted 34 years ago. And I was nurtured with a lot of love, a lot of admiration, a lot of safety. There was another side of that that was the polar opposite. And bearing in mind with what I've experienced as a child, in some aspects, I shouldn't be in the spaces I'm in. But like my friend said to me recently, I think my work and the man I am now is a trauma response to what I've been through. So I advocate for men's mental health. I'm a childcare specialist. I'm an outstanding nanny, and my approach to nannying is nurturing and child-led and very fine-tuned to the individual child's needs. Before the family's needs come into hand, the child's needs come in first. And that's reflective. That's reflective of how I was brought up to an extent, and how I've ended up in this space, or how I've now got to where I am now, where I've been working in early years since the age of 19. I'm 34 now, so it's been a while. So I've become a man, I've become an adult, I've matured whilst working in this space as solely a male, then as a black male. And I can tell you the amount of black males I've seen in this space in this lifetime. I can tell you the amount of men I've seen in this space in this lifetime. And the percentage is roughly the same. Where we're unicorns as men. As black men, we're unicorns times 2 in this space. So I'm now in this space where I support moms through childbirth as a maternity nurse or a doula. And I'm even more of a unicorn in those spaces because most men don't become maternity nurses. They just about become nannies. So to be in spaces where you support mums and families in the most vulnerable environment you can ever be in a pregnancy, it's probably the most vulnerable space a woman can ever be in. And I'm in those spaces navigating, being paid to be in those spaces, and being paid to be in those spaces, being myself. And I get booked for that work, and I get booked to nanny because of my knowledge, and also because of my calm demeanor, my calm presence, where I've realized I bring a very big calmness to households and to families, and I don't judge on them not being calm or the spaces being hectic and all over the place. I get in how I fit in, as we say in them. And I think also being from quote unquote ends, I'm very adaptable. I can be in any environment and be me. And being from the ends and learning that from my friends that live locally in Haringey, Hackney, Islington, one thing I've learned from them growing up is be who you are all the time. And that's what's got me this far, being who I am, it's got me this far. Then also being passionate, being consistent. Like I've never stopped doing childcare. I also DJ. I've never stopped DJing. So I've always did both. And I might have slowed down, but I didn't stop. And I think that's how I've got here. And also then on top of that, I've now won awards. I've been nominated for so many awards, I can't even remember anymore. I've been nominated for an award yesterday, nominated for another award last week. And I've come to a space now where the awards are great, but for me it's the notoriety and the fact I can now be on a platform to give the message of the necessity for more men in these spaces, for more black men in these spaces, and show the world that black men aren't one-trick ponies. There's more to us. It's not just music, rap, or football that we're good at. We're amazing at that, but we're also amazing at other stuff as well. So I want us to kind of be seen to have varied skill sets at everything. Because one thing being a black man or being a black person, whatever we do, we're good at it. We become good at it after hard graft. So yeah, that's how I kind of got here.
Yeah, I can imagine you've skipped and cut through a lot of stuff in order to give us an overview of what you do, and I appreciate that. You one of the things that stuck in my mind from what you've just said is a lot of what you are today is built out of the trauma of how you grew up. You painted a picture of the positive side. What was the negative trauma that impacted on you, and it's helped to define who you are now?
It's funny because I've realised that with my counterparts of my age group and my generation, it's a story you'll relate to, which is quite sad. Domestic violence in a household with your parents, and that's what I've experienced. And I think within our culture, we don't realise the effect it has on our kids. So us men and women now, 27 plus, I'm 34, our generations, our parents don't always see the effect of what's happened and how it's occurred onto us. And it's not a blame game. I just realised they haven't seen it or don't see it. They do see it, but they see it in their own time, because people get there when they get there. Like, it's not a thing where I can't tell you that you've done this and now I'm hurt. You're not going to realise it till you realise it. And that's what I've realised the responses to that, where I've learned from that to only fight back with love. I haven't got nothing else to give you. Like, I'm either going to fight back with love or I'm going to leave the building in any capacity, no matter what the situation is, whether it's work, outside work, any situation that arises. And also it's taught me to meet people where they're at. And also it showed me that your behaviour towards me is a reflection of you. It's nothing about me, it's about you. So not to also really be mad. And it taught me how to love people in their most vulnerable and outside of themselves states. Because when people are perpetrating certain behaviours, it's usually a trauma response to them, to what they've been through. So they're not being who they're meant to be. They're being a version of them that fits who they are now, but that isn't really their story. And that's what I've gathered from that, and that's what I've turned around and put into what I do, where I now able to meet children where they're at. Never have a child meet me where I'm at. Meet parents where they are at, and able to. I don't work for solely one family, so I'm now able to give a love to various families that's fine-tuned, and also really work on healthy relationships and healthy attachments based on what I've learned and based on my knowledge from my work specifically. The importance of healthy relationships and safe spaces for children is something we sleep on. Not even as a culture, just as adults, we don't realise how important it is for our children to have safe spaces and healthy attachments with adults in their care, adults in their presence, whether it's teachers, parents, or primary carers.
You thanks for sharing that as well, and the insight you've given. You wrote something on your card. I always, look at people's business cards when they share them just to see what's there beyond the normal information. And you wrote, "It takes a village to raise a child" on yours, and a familiar adage within our community. Talk about why it was important for you to communicate that from the off, though, on your card.
Because I'm black wherever I am. That's what I've come to have a confidence in doing as well. Because as much as we're black and proud, I've also learned we've not always been confident in being black and proud in different spaces. So in the space I am now, I make sure my blackness stands out even more than ever, and my culture stands out. And I'm also from Ghana. I'm also from Ghana as well. My dad's from Ghana, and how I was raised. And I think my dad and my mum and my community that come around my mum and dad, godfathers, uncles, and the culture, because we're from Finsbury Park, or my dad per se is. And the culture was it takes a village to raise a child. And the village is still raising us as adults. And the village is holding us adults accountable for our greatness and our mistakes. And it stems from that, where my dad might take me and my friends out to the park, and then take my neighbours' kids out. And then also growing up with my aunties in Muswell Hill, the community on the block we was hanging out on as kids playing 40-40 run-outs, you never realised that was the village. And now I'm looking back at it now, where I went to college in Graham Park in Northwest, went to college in Tottenham to Canal, and I've got a very big community of friends in Tottenham. And I say to them all the time that you don't realise how much this village in Tottenham raised all of us, whether you're from Tottenham or not. The same in Islington, where I was born in Hackney, but I was raised in Islington. And the community of the village that I have is all over London, where, quote unquote, you might just say it's the man, them and your cousins and family. To me, no, that's the village. And now JossyCare is the village that supports the villagers, the families, the children, and they come to me day in, day out for support, and they love the ethos, because I've realised as much as it's a cultural ethos, every adult I've come across in this space can relate to that, because I realised for your generation, you was all raised like that, whether you're black, white or Turkish. You was raised by your grandparents, or raised by auntie, raised by uncle, or while your mum and dad were there at work, or you all grew up in one household. And I've realised even the wealthiest of families come from backgrounds where they were raised in one household together at some point, where they saw their cousins more than they saw their brothers. Where that's changed now. I had a conversation with a friend yesterday, and we realised that our kids don't know each other. And they live on the same road. And our kids, we grew up with each other. Our kids, we're best friends, but then our kids don't know the fact that your daddy's best friend's got a son same age as down the road. But we're trying to fix that, and that's where the village mentality comes into it, because it really takes a village. The Voice newspaper is part of that village, and I don't think even local gazettes don't realise how much of an impact they have on their local constituencies as the voice in the village. No pun intended, where the local newspapers in the village do more power than the Sun and the other medias, because in the village, when you pick up your local gazette's birthday, your local butcher passed away, or the local college is doing this, and that's where it's come from, the village mentality and the ethos that I have.
What's going to attract more men like you to the space, Joss? And when you tell people that, you know, you're a nanny, black man in the space, I guess the reaction must be quite predictable. But has that changed over the years? And if it has, what's going to help attract more people like you?
It hasn't changed much over the years, the reaction. The worst reactions I get from our culture. Like, I get the wildest reactions from black people. They're like, especially the men, where black men are lovely, we're amazing people, but when it comes to some conversations on business, i.e. my job role, I know a lot of men are only comfortable with it because it's me. They're not comfortable with the idea of someone else within our culture. So I think it's coming, and for the prime example where LGBTQ community, transgenders, non-binary, cis, where the conversation is every day, it's in your face whether you like it or not. So you have to adapt and accept. Well, most of our email headings as creators, most of us are he, she, or they. And if you're someone that's got an issue with that, you've got to get over it now. So as for more men in this space, it's becoming the norm-ish, but it's people's preferences that needs to be changed by themselves, not by me having to prove it to them. Because people often want me to prove it to them. And I'm telling you, I'm not proving that I'm worthy because of your gender bias and your unconscious bias. That's not what we're doing. And how we get more men is promoting it to was, where someone like me is in college, Hackney Community College, and talking in schools and showing these young males and young children that they can do this as a career, start a business out of it from quite early, because you can babysit from 18, 19. If you start from then, by the time you're 25, you're going to be further ahead than me and probably even more amazing than me and my counterparts. And the life skills it teaches you, the accountability it teaches you as well, is life-changing stuff, where there's only certain things you learn when you're a parent. There's only certain things you learn when you're a child carer. There's a certain energy that comes with it, a certain genetic quality that comes with it that you pick up along the way when you little things like there's a little mountain climbing clips that you buy to stick on the buggy to put your legs in the buggy. You won't know that unless you've got a child, and unless you had a child over the last 5 years, you would never know that the little clips you buy in the plumbing shop are good to put Tesco's bags on the side of your buggy so you don't have to hold them or push them around. This little life hacks. So yeah, that's how we can make a change, and that's the reaction where parents are very forthcoming with it, because parents choose me and I choose them. But individuals outside, I get great feedback and I get very inquisitive feedback, and I get honest because I let people have their opinions. I get honest opinions of people. Like I was at a kids party, spoke to a dad. The dad was like, "Is he uncomfortable with this?" He said, "I would have to prove myself to him." He said his wife would be even worse. I said, that's issue you got to take up with you and you. Like politely, that's more of a reflection of where your mindset's at than it is anything else.
So do you understand why the mindsets are like that though?
Yeah, I do. And I hold space for it, where quick fast got an example. I used to work in a nursery in the city, worked there for 3-4 years, had a family to change their daughter. Bear in mind, I've been there for 3 years, I've known the daughter for 2.5. I've been changing their daughter. Me and mum get along. The mum happens to be black as well. I think what's happened, the dad's come one day to pick up, see me, wasn't comfortable with it. If I move along quickly, the nursery stopped. Nurseries are usually predominantly women in nurseries. Predominantly usually just white women in nurseries as well. They didn't deal with that. They supported me. The manager supported me and said to the parent, now Josh is a valued member of staff, he has a job to do, that's his job role. But we can uphold your preferences, but we can't uphold your unconscious bias. And what's happened, all of the women in the nursery stopped talking to the parent. So imagine you're going to pick up your children, everyone's giving you the cold shoulder. It's a professional environment. In regards to how you feel, that's not how you deal with stuff. Me being the one that should feel the most hard done by, I'm still holding space with the mum, saying hi, having conversations when they come in. Moving forward, I'm in McQueen shopping now on the high road. I get a phone call in the evening. Hi, Joss. I'm looking for a babysitter. Hi, who is it? It's me from the nursery. It's the same mum that didn't want me changing her child's clothes or nappy. And that's just because I let her have her feelings. I met her where she was at. I didn't judge her for having these. Even if I think they're wayward, I didn't make her feel like I thought they was wayward. So I get where it comes from. And as much as inside I'm saying I have no time for it, I know when you allow people to think and feel and be comfortable with the uncomfortabilities around you, it usually breaks it. Because you're not passing judgment on them. You're letting them have their thoughts and ideas and letting them be accountable on their own accord. I'm not making them fall away. Like, okay, I might be gay, you might be uncomfortable with it, but I'm not gonna make you feel, I'm not gonna rub it in your face and make you feel worse than you might feel. And that usually helps in your understanding where it's more of a you thing that you've got to come past. Pardon?
Yeah, no, we've got a terrible line.
Hello?
I'm hoping everybody caught the tail end of what you were saying there, because I get it. I get the point that you were making. I guess the last question I really want to squeeze in before this cuts out and people can't hear it. In terms of structure, right, to your own company, JossyCare, how do you scale up? How do you move beyond where you are at the moment, having been in the space for so many years?
Scale up is normalizing it, so I'm no longer the only black person on panels when I'm talking. Like I spoke at an event, spoke at Nursery World Show in Angel last week, and I was the only. No, there was 2 black people speaking. Other one of my friends. There's no black male speaking. So scaling up is normalizing that, making sure there's no longer just a minimal amount of black people in these spaces. And I'm tired of it. I'm tired of knowing all the black people in the room. Because we can't see that culture, we know everyone anyway because of how we were raised, but also doing a dream that I have where it's an ongoing campaign, where the government are behind it, where there's money put behind it, there's speak that agenda, and we have transgenders talking up on it as well because communities haven't got a voice. So they're fighting the same fight as me, but for a different cause. And also training, offering nannies training on child-led learning and doing the work on yourself, and eventually employing like-minded child carers as well, and scaling up by kind of being able to supply childcare for families that need childcare. Because one thing I've come across is families want me because of how I work. So my issue is finding like-minded nannies that work out for me, have quote unquote the same work ethos or the same child-led ethos. But there's not a lot of nannies that do this. They're hard to come by. Nanny is quite old school, so the ethos of some nannies can be quite old school as well.
I did a stint for a story in a nanny in a nursery over 10 years ago to look at some of the issues that you're still facing, it seems like, in terms of perceptions, right? And so I totally understand exactly everything that you've mentioned. If I'm honest, I still see a long way to go before, people are consider this normal, So I applaud the work that you're doing because it seems it's going to be an uphill road. In terms of JossyCare itself, is there anything else you want to share with us before we part ways? For those who are listening and watching,
one thing I can share is that letting children lead is letting love lead. Because children are love. Children are the love that the world needs to balance it out. And letting children lead is letting love lead. And letting love lead is the most authentic and truest thing you can do for yourself in life. But you have to get there. You have to be able to be in a space and be in a mindset where you can let love in the room and let it lead. So to be able to let your children lead, you need to do the work on yourself. And then also that it does take a village, because I'm not where I am by myself. It takes a village. There's a village with me, not behind me, with me, that I hear with me, that have helped JossyCare get where it is, helped me go how I go, think how I think, work how I work. Without these families supporting my work, I wouldn't be employed. And I'm now in a space where I'm attracting solely families that think and have the same ethos as me. I no longer attract families that don't have a child-led approach themselves, or haven't got a conscious parenting, or don't hold themselves accountable. Like I've realised all the new fans I've got over the last 3-4 weeks all go therapy because I realised the work needs to be done.
Where can people follow you?
Yeah, that's it. So
where can people follow you?
People can follow me on Instagram at JossyCare, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. I've got a public profile on Snapchat at JossyCare as well. TikTok is JossyCare as well. So I'm literally everywhere, just sharing. So follow me, guys. Peace.